All right, everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. Season one, episode two of the Level Up podcast. Super excited. I'm your host, Don Weimer, coming to you live again. Well, not live. This is recorded from Altamont Springs, Florida. Hey, so a lot of things going on in the industry, a lot of things going on in the world. And whether you're in real estate or whether you're in the sales game at all in any form or facet, and quite frankly, if you're just living your life, stressors are going to be huge, right? What I'm addressing in this episode is the real estate and mental health, coping with the stresses of the industry. And we can sub in there sales in general, right? I think we all know that the sales business is mentally stressing even in normal times, right? I think what we face as we look at this, the real estate industry in general can be particularly challenging, right? We normally deal with very high levels of stress, even in normal times. Our customers, our clients, the people we're dealing with are thinking about or considering or moving forward with the largest financial transaction of their entire life, right? Emotions are high, tensions are high, the stakes are high. We're constantly inundated with this as real estate sales professionals. And that's just in normal times, right? Now we add in the fluctuating market, high interest rates. You roll in the normal things of the constant need for networking and extroverting and being out there and being positive, right? It takes a toll on our mental health. I think that's something that we can all accept. Now we're facing it even more drastically, right? We've got a lagging economy. We've got inflation. We've got interest rates we're dealing with. We've got the recent NAR verdict, right, with the Sitzer Burnett NAR case. Uh, all of these things at a time when we really don't need it, right? Things are already slowing down in the market. It's the slow time of year normally, right? So now we've got all of these other stressors. We've got all of these other things coming at us. And a lot of us are trying to figure out exactly what we're going to do. Is the business going to change? What's going on with the market now, right? This is going to take a significant toll on the mental health of people in the real estate game over the next number of years. I'd venture to say even beyond that. Now, that being said, I am not a mental health professional. I'm not a mental health provider. I know nothing about mental health, but I do know my own state of mind. And I do work with and talk with a lot of agents in the industry. And part of my job, quite frankly, as a team leader and as a business owner, is counseling, is talking to people about what they're doing, is helping them through those challenging circumstances, right? Whether it's within a particular transaction or whether that's something they're dealing with in their personal life, trying to help them get through, or just figure out what they're trying to do in the business. So while I'm not a healthcare professional, I certainly deal with this sometimes on a daily, often on a weekly, but I can guarantee you monthly basis, right? Um, One of the first things we're going to talk about, and I think this is the most important piece, is market volatility and uncertainty, right? We already know that being in the real estate market, it's always going to fluctuate, right? We're going to move from a buyer's market to a seller's market to a stagnant market. We've seen those transitions through the years. Now, I don't care what kind of market it is, it's a good market for someone. I hope that makes sense. Um, so even with the fluctuations, right? We've got what's going on now. It's going to be influenced by the economic conditions. It's going to be influenced by interest rates. It's going to be impacted by political and global events, right? And it's going to do nothing but drive this market in a different direction than it is now. We've already seen it shift in the past 12 months, right? If you think we came out of the biggest boom market ever, a false market, right, where we had super low interest rates, we had, buyers clamoring to buy homes and people selling and just going crazy, right? You were an order taker. Then things quieted a bit, right? It cooled off some, got a little bit normal there for a little while. Matter of fact, beginning of this year, we saw a little bit of a dip and then immediately picked back up again. Boom. And then interest rates hit. And now we've got all these other things going on. So now we've got this perfect storm where things are coming down around us. And quite frankly, there's a lot of us that don't even know what this business is going to be doing in the next 12, 18, 24 months. All of this is going to lead to extreme anxiety, right? In my opinion, this is exponentially greater than in recent decades, right? We're already seeing a migration of real estate agents out of the business, right? NAR is already reporting a net loss. I know firsthand because part of my job in my brokerage is to recruit new agents and other agents from other brokerages. But even the number of newly licensed agents has dropped probably by 2/3. I was seeing 30 plus a week of new agents coming into the market in the Florida market. Now I'm seeing about 10 new agents each week. It's crazy, and we've already seen a bunch of existing agents migrate out of the business as well. Now I'll say this: we are going to see in my opinion, a great reduction in the number of agents. I've seen estimates as high as 80%. I don't know that it's going to be that drastic, but that's what some of the experts are saying. What I will say is for those of us that survive this market for the next 12, 18, 24 months, for those of us that pivot, that change, that choose to thrive instead of die, that choose to evolve in our business, right? We will have tremendous success at the other end of this. Our businesses will explode. They will expand, right? Until then, guys, you got to manage the stress. You have to manage the things that are going on in your world, in the environment, and you have to develop that resilience. You have to focus on the long-term strategies and continual development that's going to allow you to diversify in your business and be part of whatever the market is going to come. Number one, when we talk about market volatility and uncertainty, you've got to make sure that you are mentally stable from a financial perspective, right? And I don't care whether that's in your business or your personal life. You have to stick to your long-term growth plan. Don't deviate. Don't avoid being swayed by short-term fluctuations in the market, right? Don't look at it week to week or even month to month. Look at those long-term fluctuations. Track your numbers, track your financial numbers, track your production numbers. Know what you're doing, because as you're looking at the numbers, the truth is in the data, y'all. You'll know what you need to do just by looking at your numbers. You have to adjust your leading indicators that are going to impact your lagging measures. I've actually written this up as a blog post. I've got a great video that talks about a goal setting spreadsheet that breaks it down for you. Reach out to me if you'd like a copy of that. I'll be happy to send it to you. Just, send me a message. You can email me at don@7lholdings.com, the number 7lholdings.com. So if you adjust your leading indicators, things like how many leads you're generating, how many phone calls you're making, how many appointments you're setting, right? That's going to affect your lagging measures, which are your sales, which is your amount of revenue that you're bringing in. Be realistic about that. We're going to see a retraction in the number of units sold, right? And the number of agents in the market. As such, you're clearly going to have to do more work to be as successful as you were in 2023. And you're going to have to even do more work if you want to expand your business. But the good news is there are going to be fewer agents in the market to capture the existing market. We've already talked about, and I've heard some statistics say that there's going to be about a 30% drop in available commissions. Well, if you think about it at its extremes, we've got an 80% reduction in the number of agents. We've got a 30% reduction in commissions. What that tells me is that we're going to be able to crush it when you stay in this. You're going to have to do more work. But I'll tell you this, if you're tracking your numbers, right? If you're tracking your leading indicators, you're going to see the trends and you're going to be able to adjust the input to affect your result. Be financially healthy in your business and in your personal life. And number one, lead with revenue, right? Don't spend money you don't have. Be a revenue generating machine. You have to ensure your mental health by ensuring your financial health. You're going to have to make difficult decisions financially, whether it's in your business or in your home life. It may require cutting back in areas that are difficult to really realize, whether that's staffing, whether that's those trips. It's all going to be led by what you're doing to revenue generate, right? That's true for your business. It's true in your personal life. So set your goals, be realistic, and make the adjustments where you need to. Every dollar that you spend in your business has to provide an ROI. Right? As we go into 2024, we can't be lackadaisical about what we're spending and just, oh, yeah, we've got plenty. You're not going to have plenty more where that came from. You're going to have to work twice as hard for the same dollar. Not to mention the dollar's actually going to be worth less next year, probably, right? So you're going to have to work even harder. So every dollar you spend is going to have to generate ROI. And the same is true for your personal expenses. Now, there's not necessarily an ROI in your mortgage payment or in buying food, but you need to be smart about it, right? You have to be diversified in your business model as well, right? We have to start thinking about how we can control market volatility and uncertainty, especially with the Sitzer Burnett verdict. We haven't realized the impact of that yet, but it will have an impact. And I don't care whether that's just merely in the perception of real estate or if it's in the actual effect of the case. Now, the case is going to be appealed. Whether it wins or loses is one thing, but we simply know this. There are a lot of buyer lead focused agents, teams, brokerages that are going to be getting out of the business, right? I've had conversations with some very large teams in our industry where a number of their top producing mega agents have basically said, and they were focused on the buying side, they're getting out of the business. They're done. They're not going to be there, right? Things are going to change. Many buyer-focused brokerages, teams, and agents are going to be leaving by choice or be forced to leave the business. Where you pivot is going to determine how much of that remaining business you are going to capture. How are you going to evolve and overcome the strategies of the uncertainty in this new market? Think about it this way. Imagine being realtor.com. They've spent decades now, and I think the last number was somewhere around $600 million in revenue a year, pretty much being a buyer-focused entity, and where they made a ton of their money was from selling buyer leads to agents. That value proposition is no longer there, right? We are going to see a retraction in the commission earned by buyers' agents. Realtor.com is struggling. They've already seen a 15% drop in their revenue, and I'm not seeing any apparent plan that they have. So what I'm going to challenge each of you with, whether you're a brokerage owner, whether you're a team leader, whether you're an individual agent, sit down and think about what your new model is going to be, what your proposition is going to be if you decide to stay on the buyer side. How are you going to have a value proposition that may, in some point in time in the very, very near future, mandate that you convince your buyers that they will pay you a commission, they will pay you, and it might not be a commission, it might be by the hour, it might be a retainer, who knows, but they are going to have to compensate you directly rather than you getting your commission or your earnings from the listing side of the deal. Think about that. Think about what that looks like for you as a team leader or a brokerage owner. How are you going to be training or teaching or coaching to new models that leverage people in thinking from the listing side? What does that look like for listing agents and showing agents and all of those things? Don't get caught flat-footed. You have to evolve. The way you can control the uncertainty is by planning for it, anticipating it, getting the plans in place, having contingencies, right? Don't just go in as a one-trick pony. Have contingencies about what you're going to do and how you are going to thrive, and you are going to do that in the coming 2 years. If you own a team or a brokerage or you're leading a team, start training your agents on the new model. It's pretty simple. Aid them in adapting in the new way of doing business. Make sure that you're giving them the tools, the training, the resources in order to adapt, change, and overcome. And I'm going to say this regarding the NAR verdict. If the verdict is overturned, public perception is going to change. It already has changed, right? So regardless of what happens to the verdict, even if it is completely overturned, which in my opinion, it's probably not going to be. We may see a reduction in the damages, but think about the messaging that's already going on. Think about the onslaught of news stations. Think about the copycat cases. Think about the TV advertising that is going to drive the messaging from the attorneys who want to file other suits. It is all going to be about real estate agents are bad. Buying agents, it's going to go on and on and on. You have to be prepared to have those discussions. You have to be willing to address the business and your value proposition to your clients and customers. You have to help them understand that market trends and everything that goes along with it require resilient strategies. So work with your agents now. Get with them now. Start talking about the topics that are right here in front of us. It's not a matter of what we want. It's a matter of what is going to be. And I believe that things are going to change. I don't know what they are. We're already working here in my office with my teammates talking about what the new models are, right? If you're an agent and your broker or team leader is not adapting or providing you with the insight you need to succeed, you know there are options, right? I'm going to be honest. If you want to be in this business and your brokerage or your team leader or whoever's leading you isn't providing you with the things you need, you might have to find another brokerage. You might have to find another company. You might have to change to a new team leader. But if you want to succeed, you have to make those decisions for yourself. In all, what I want you each to do is make data-driven decisions, especially in this time. Don't let the emotions or the news cycle or the agent sitting next to you determine your future. Find your own path. Whew, that was a lot. Unpacking some stuff here. Number 2, client expectations and relationship management. Again, guys, this is always a difficult thing, right? Clients are always at a high emotional state because we're dealing with large sums of money. Again, this is the most expensive, the highest value transaction most people will ever make in their life. And quite frankly, it results in unrealistic demands, right? We know that, but it's part of doing the business. You must have a frame of reference from the customer side that are going to impact those conversations, right? You have to be able to now deliver your value proposition in a way that is going to make it clear that what you're bringing to the table is worth the money they're going to be paying you, whether that's on the listing side or the buying side, right? It's especially important if you're going to be on the buying side of the deal. Again, with the NAR verdict, you are going to have a clearly articulated value proposition when you start dealing with buyers. I'm going to tell you now, how are you going to overcome the stress of dealing with that relationship management and the unrealistic client expectations? Number 1, practice, rehearse. When you were new real estate agents, you practiced the conversations formerly known as scripts, right? You practiced objection handling, right? You had your rebuttals. You rehearsed those if you were any good. Matter of fact, most agents I know today still do script and role play every single day, if not multiple times a week. That needs to double down. You need to start creating new conversations. You need to start creating new objection handling techniques. You need to be studying and perfecting your value proposition conversations, right? Over and over with friends, with relatives, with other agents. And then real play, right? You're just going to have to get out there and do it again. You're going to have to practice these new conversations. You're going to have to practice the new objections, and you're going to get hit with stuff you never expected. And again, the best line is, that's a great question, and I don't have an answer for it. Let me give it some thought, or let me get that information, and I'll get right back to you, right? You're not going to be able to handle it all. But the more you learn, the more you adapt, the more you practice and take notes, the more effective you're going to be, right? You'll still need to deal with the typical ebb and flow of the customer journey, okay? We still need to practice effective communication. We still have to set clear boundaries. You still have to manage the expectations of your customer in addition to all of these other things, right? Some of the ways to do that, you're going to have regular check-ins. You're going to go ahead and have educational sessions about the real estate process. And you can also help alleviate the client-induced stress by doing just that. So lean into this, guys. Be prepared for the new conversations. Do your research, prepare the dialogue, rehearse the objection handlers. Be confident in your value proposition. Own it 100%. Above all, though, also remember, stay calm, right? It is hugely volatile for your customer. If you step back, take a breath, if you're dealing with another agent, if you're dealing with different parties in a transaction, be the big person in the room. Step back, take a breath, employ stress reduction techniques, meditate, deep breathing, do whatever you need to do. Clear your mind, go for a blue sky walk. It doesn't matter, but you need to make sure that you are reducing your stress. You have to practice patience. We know this already, right? You need to be able to really communicate this necessity to your clients, that you have to be purposeful. You have to be patient. You have to be strategic. As always, right? Listen actively to your clients' concerns. If you do that, you are going to let them know that you are their advocate, that you're working with them, not against them. You're going to be able to build that trust. Remember, they have to know, like, and trust you. You're going to be able to build that trust to a point that it's going to really mitigate any misunderstandings you might have if you just listen actively. If you look at my episode 1, we talked about active listening being a huge key. When we talk about how brokers and team leaders can help with this whole thing, you can start drafting the dialogues. You can start drafting collateral materials that address all of these challenges that are going on. We can't use the same listing presentations anymore. We can't use the same buyer presentations anymore. We can't have the same scripts and rebuttals that we had from 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. They have to be modified into our new environment. You leaders are the ones that should be crafting those now. You've got to evaluate your tech stack, right? Make sure that you're utilizing and optimizing the solutions you have in place that are alleviating as many of these stressors as possible. And are you leveraging technology so that your agents can focus on the highest net activities? You've got to make sure that you are clearing out as much of the chatter, or I believe in the 4 disciplines of execution, they call it the whirlwind, right? You need to eliminate as much chatter as possible for your agents and let them focus on what they do best, building relationships, negotiating deals, right? And this may mean the implementation or the migration to new, more effective systems and processes. Number 3, here we go. Hope this isn't getting to be too much for you. Number 3, work-life balance. We always talk about this, right? The nature of real estate continually blurs that line between work and personal. It's on. We are always on. It's 7 days a week. It doesn't have to be, but unfortunately it is. As an agent, you know you're working nights, you're working weekends, and you have to be able, especially with all these stresses that are going on, with the heightened sense of urgency, with the concerns that you have, you're going to be able to have to prioritize your work-life balance by setting very strict boundaries for work hours. You're going to have to delegate or leverage tasks if at all possible. And guys, take time off. I'm guilty of this myself. I mean, the past probably 8 or 12 weeks, I've been working 7 days a week, long hours, and sometimes that's necessary. But no, you need to take a break. No, you need to take time to recharge. Right? You've got to find and be able to time block for your business and your personal time. You have to move the big rocks. Right? Focus on the 20% of things that matter most in your business that affect 80% of the results. Focus on the 20% of things in your personal life that affect 80% of the results, right? It's Pareto's principle. It is in effect in everything you do, and properly time blocking, right, is going to empower you to do that. Being realistic about there's only 24 hours a day. Hopefully you're getting 6 hours of sleep, right? It's going to reduce your stress, but you have to be able to prioritize. You have to also make sure that you're taking breaks, emphasizing on self-care activities. I don't care what it is, goat yoga, meditation, deep breathing, listening. I was coming in this morning. I don't necessarily know that this was relaxing, but I was playing my Pandora station and I was blasting the Jelly Roll station, right? Shout out to him too. But guys, whatever it does, but I found myself, I was listening to podcasts every morning. It was business, and I did just something to relax, and it did kind of free me up to get me in a right state of mind. As a broker, as a team leader, you can encourage this whole work-life balance by setting realistic goals. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, and expectations. Again, most agents are 1099, right? They're independent contractors, but there are expectations and pressures that we as brokers, we as team leaders put on our folks. For top producing agents, maybe you think about offsetting the cost of leverage through a remote assistant or transaction coordinator. Gratuitous plug, 7L Holdings, we can provide both of those. But that is something that can relieve stress. It's a small investment, but you as a broker to retain those top producing agents, the ROI definitely is there. And consider providing perks that lead to stress relief as part of your brokerage benefits. I don't know. Again, mentioned the goat yoga thing, maybe a night out. I was talking to one real estate broker last week, and he said one of the things that he plans on doing this year is just giving like little vacation gifts to his top producing agents, right? Nothing business related. Just, hey, go take a cruise on me or go up to this Airbnb for 3 days, right? Just to allow them to reconnect, recollect themselves, get that balance back, right? Super important. Also, think about bringing in a coach or offer a training session that would address the benefits of how to time block, right? The benefits of having your own personal time, right? Think about making that investment as well. All right, we got two more to go. We're going to talk about techno stress in the digital age. So I'm an IT guy. That was my background before real estate. I dig tech. I'm in tech all the time. So I don't necessarily feel the stressors of it, but many people do, right? In today's day and age, real estate agents have to stay connected. They have to be tech savvy. And that all leads to what's called techno stress, right? Continual notifications, bing, 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 all over the place, right? We've got the expectation that people want an immediate response now, right? I sent you the email 2 minutes ago, or I sent you the text message 10 minutes ago. We're the same way when we reach out to a listing agent, when we send an offer, or if we send a counter offer from, wow, I sent it 3 minutes ago. How come I haven't gotten a response yet, right? There is a constant pinging because of technology to remain present in the digital space, and it can be absolutely overwhelming. As an agent, you can kind of combat techno stress by doing a couple things. Number one, schedule specific times to check your emails and social media. It doesn't have to be constant. Turn off your notifications, right? Just shut them down for a little while. Use the technology that's going to streamline your tasks. Don't make them more difficult. And quite frankly, occasionally just disconnect. Take time for yourself. Shut everything off. Go outside. Go for a walk. I'm planning a camping trip, right? Just to get away. And I do that in a place where there is no cell service and where there is no Wi-Fi for a reason. If I can't get out, nobody can get in. And I'm okay with that, right? When we talk about technology, there are parts of it you can leverage out. Again, reach out to me at 7L. We can help you with leveraging out your social media management and content creation, graphic design. We can provide you leverage with dealing with your CRM. You name it, we can afford you that, right? There's a cost benefit ratio to that. But if it's important to you for your mental health to kind of decompress a little bit, bring things down, it might be a good alternative. Specific times for your breaks and adhere to them. Guys, take breaks, put them on your schedule, time block for them, right? Reduce the amount of time you're in front of a screen. Turn off personal devices at work, right? Or during breaks. If you need to go to bed, turn off the notifications. All of these things are going to add to work-related stress. I'm guilty of it myself. If it's 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and I've just crawled into bed, and suddenly I hear my phone go off with a message. Is it a customer? Is it a client? Is it an agent? Who is it? It ends up being that it was just something stupid and I didn't really need to check it, right? But it brought me out of that gearing down place and elevated me back up. My heart rate went up, blood pressure goes up, my eyes are open. Then it took me another hour to go to sleep. So don't be guilty of that. From a brokerage perspective, again, think about training programs on the effective use of technology, right? If you provide them with that training, with that coaching, if you're using a CRM that's providing a lot of technology and agents don't know how to use it, they're probably spending an inordinate amount of time trying to figure it out on their own. Leverage in, give them the training, give them the resources they need to be successful. All right, last one, and then we're going to get it going. The pressures of sales targets. Guys, whoo! 2024 is going to be crazy. We've already outlined that, right? And as productive salespeople, as agents, the need to meet sales targets always provides a considerable amount of stress, whether it's your own stress as an independent contractor, or, in the real estate business, there are some W-2 employees who get a salary plus commission, right? But they still have very stringent sales expectations, and we all feel the pressure. I don't care where you're at. If you're an independent contractor, you feel it just by the virtue of having to do all of this yourself. And if you're a W-2 employee, not only are you concerned about your own income, but you've got the pressure from the top coming down as well. In sales, there's that old adage, right? You're only as good as your last report. So as the market retracts and the business pivots, we must be realistic about our goals based upon what is being realized in the market, right? We can no longer set goals or expectations based on what we want or what we think. We've got to be strategic about setting those goals. We have to understand what the market is doing. We have to understand the way it's tracking. We've got to be able to celebrate our small victories. We've got to develop a solid support network within our industry and within our personal life, right? Guys, study the market of today. Do research, read, consume information, right? talk to industry experts, read articles by industry experts, watch TV, have the reports, understand what they're predicting for 2024, right? And 100%, you have to understand your local market, right? All real estate, local, local, local. But you also have to understand that there's going to be an impact, right? We are going to see a shift in the business. We already have. Just in my market alone, we've seen an uptick, a 2x uptick in units on market, units on market. We were about one and a half months of inventory on market less than a month ago. We're at 3 months right now. So it's already ticking up. You have to become the expert economist in your area. You have to understand what's going on, how it's moving, where it's going, and you have to continually track what's happening, because it again is going to shift, and that is going to determine what you're doing, right? You have to establish your production goal. Be honest about what you want to do in terms of volume or in terms of dollar revenue, right? GCI. You're going to set that goal based on your needs and understand that we're still in a business where you can determine your earnings. There is no limit to what you can earn. You have to do the work, right? Pure and simple. In order to generate the same amount of GCI, gross commission income, in 2024, you are going to have to do more work than you did in 2024 to generate that same level than you did in 2023. Set that goal. Understand what you need to do for your business. Understand what you need to do for your personal income, and set that dollar target or that unit target based on your averages, whatever that may be. Understand what that is, and then dig in, right? Your production goal is going to be your lagging measure. There's nothing that you're going to do to affect how much you earned, right? That is a lagging measure during the year. It either is or it is not. And that's going to be driven by your leading indicators, your micro commitments, right? The things that you do every day that build to a point of a closed transaction, right? You have to be able to analyze and know what the inputs are, right? What your numbers are, and you have to be specific about it. How many leads do you need to generate? How many contacts or conversations do you need to have before you set an appointment, right? When you set an appointment, how many of those actually convert to a listing or buyer agreement, right? What is your average closing percentage on any contract you get? That's going to be different for listings versus sales side, right? By knowing and tracking your numbers related to your leading indicators, you're going to be able to make the necessary adjustments, right? As you see things coming at you, as you see the market pivot and change and migrate, you're going to be able to make the changes necessary that will have a direct impact on your lagging measure. So if you know going in based on your numbers today that you need to generate, and I'm just using this number, 1,000 new leads this year, and it's going to cost you X number of dollars because you know that you're converting at a certain percent. If you stop tracking those numbers and those numbers shift, you're going to be sorely disappointed. But if you're tracking those numbers daily, if you're inputting the number of leads daily, if you're tracking the number of conversations daily, if you're tracking the number of appointments daily, if you're tracking the number of contacts, you are going to see those numbers shift. Now, they may not shift much, but they may. What you want to do is stay ahead of that. So if you see a retraction in your conversion numbers, if you see now that your close rate on leads are dropping, what do? You do more lead generation, right? If you see that conversations are more difficult and you're not getting as many buyer consultations now because you didn't perfect your presentation, your value proposition, right? You know you're going to have to do two things, but it changes the dialogue. You're going to have to increase the production of your buyer leads. Same thing with your listing leads. You have to know and you have to track your numbers. In the comments, I'm going to drop a link to a video I did for a goal setting spreadsheet. It's an Excel spreadsheet, works really great. Might be something you want to use. If you check out the video, you decide you want to use it, there will be a link to the spreadsheet in the comments below. So guys, when we talk about this, last thing I want to say in this regard is never, ever, 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 when you get into 2024, stop lead generating. You need to generate more leads to do the same amount of business than you did in the previous years, right? You'll need to do more lead generation in the coming years than you ever have before. Have a system, work the system, and lean in, right? Brokers, hey, consult with your agents, right? Sit down with them, have conversations, and make sure they're setting realistic goals and be supportive. Coach them, help them, give them guidance in achieving these roles, right? Mentor them, work with them, do what now is where you have to earn the money. But deals aren't falling out of the sky anymore. As brokers, as team leaders, as mentors, as coaches, we've got to lean in even more than ever and pour into the people that are going to remain in this business. They will be the ones that are directing us over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years. The ones that come out on the other side are going to be the top in the industry. They're going to be the ones that have created a new successful model. They're going to be the ones that everybody's pointing to 10 years from now that lived through the shift, that lived through this new paradigm that we've got in real estate. So guys, that does it for episode number 2. In addressing the inherent stressors of the real estate profession, you've got to be encouraged to adopt a multifaceted approach to maintain your mental health, right? Whether you're managing the unpredictability of the market, whether you're maintaining that work-life balance, the demands of the digital world, the technology, whatever it is, you have to be proactive. You have to have effective communication. You have to set achievable goals. As the industry evolves, guys, so too must support systems and coping mechanisms for those within it. So I want to encourage you all to do this, right? We know we're coming to a changing time. We know we're coming into a new market. We know we've got all this going on. What I'm going to ask you guys to do is lean in. Say it over and over and over. Organisms have evolved, right? Creatures have gone extinct because they didn't evolve. The same is true in business. The same is true in industries. There are countless examples. The way we've done real estate has been the same basically for hundreds of years when we talk about the commission structure, not hundreds, 100 years. It's going to change, right? Now is a time for you to lean in and evolve. But moreover, guys, just keep focused. And if you need to talk to a mental health professional, if you feel the stressors are getting to be too much for you, there are a ton of resources. If you'd be kind enough, drop some comments below in terms of what you thought about this presentation. If you've got resources for folks in the industry, drop them in there as well in terms of what we can do to help our mental health status. I hope you enjoyed the Level Up podcast. It's brought to you in cooperation with 7L Holdings. That is my company. We've got a lot of things going on, a lot of big news. I'm going to be announcing some guests coming up soon, but this does it for episode 2. I'd like to thank you all for joining. Please drop your comments, like, share, subscribe, do all of those things. I'm on Pandora. I'm on Spotify. I've got the YouTube channel, so find me. Let's go ahead and make this a thing, guys. Episode 2 is in the can. It's been great chatting with you, and I hope to talk to you soon. Bye.